If you're here, that means that this video popped up for you with probably no views at all from a channel with barely any subscribers, and you still clicked on it. So welcome, my name is Caitlin, I make art, and if that's your kind of thing, then you're welcome to hang around. But I should probably clue you in on what's happening here first, right? Well, you are about to witness a journey. A very long, grueling journey that I personally went through. And it all started in the last video. Go ahead and watch it if you haven't already. But anyways, the moral of that video was that I'm kind of not good at drawing cowboy hats. And so I said something about doing some studies in a future video. So here we are. And instead of being normal and just doing a normal amount of studies, I thought it would be really funny and cool if I drew 100 cowboy hats. Because imagine that on the thumbnail in big bold letters. I drew 100 cowboy hats. I mean, it would just bring in all the views, right? The problem is I'm so bad at math that when I was drawing out this grid to draw these tiny cowboy hats in, I actually ended up with 154 squares, and because that's not an even number, it just loses all of its appeal, right? So it's probably not in big bold letters on the thumbnail anymore, but don't worry, because it's going to get more interesting from here. So as you can see, I went through and I drew a bunch of little tiny cowboy hats in these little squares that I made for myself. And here I am drawing the 100th one! I know, it's really exciting. Riveting stuff here. This one actually might be the worst one that I drew out of all of them. The pressure was too high. But anyways, for these, I just searched up cowboy hat 3D model and went into like the first website, I forget the name of it, and I just rotated the hats around. There were quite a few options, and I drew them from as many different angles as I could. And then by the end here, I decided I should probably try doing it without reference, so then I just kind of freehanded some, and I kind of lost it all over again. So that's something to note if you ever want to try this, but I did it. I drew 154 cowboy hats just for you guys. I did it all for you. And I know it didn't make the most exciting video, and that's why I went above and beyond, and I wanted to take everything that I learned from these 154 cowboy hats and put it into practice. So we are going to do another sketchbook spread of Arthur Morgan, of course.
3 days later.
So here we are, back in the sketchbook to do another spread. And like the SpongeBob guy said, this is 3 days later in like real time, like when I was recording the footage for this, which it kind of matters for like the narrative here. Because like I said, this was quite the journey for me, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But I had a very specific idea for this, and I had a very hard time sketching this out. So that is one of my first obstacles for this piece. Okay, I don't usually like sketch so messily and then erase so much when I'm sketching, but I'm trying to go off of a very specific layout that I've planned, so I'm trying to make everything work together. And I don't have like a clear reference, so I'm also just like slowly figuring out the balance of everything, if that makes sense. Next video is gonna have to be a I draw 100 horses challenge, because I do not know how to draw horses either, and apparently that's gonna be my new thing. Yeah, that's not happening. So you're probably wondering if me drawing the same thing 100 times over actually helped me get better at drawing it, and it kind of did, but for the most part, I don't feel like I improved any after doing that. If you look, you'll see me literally struggling to draw the head right now. And part of that is because I didn't know which way I wanted his head to be facing in the picture, because I was just kind of struggling to figure out what I was trying to depict here. But I think the big problem is that I didn't draw the 154 cowboy hats on a head. I just drew them like floating in the void. And the hard part about drawing someone wearing a hat is like the overlap that happens, like knowing how much the hat covers and like the perspective of the two and how the hat fits on the head. So I didn't really improve my understanding in that aspect.
4 to 6 weeks later.
Okay, so obviously we have a little bit more substantial of a time skip this time, and I had mentioned previously about how this drawing was a journey for me, and it was actually more so the time in between where I wasn't working on it, where there was the most turmoil, because I kept thinking about how bad I needed to finish this drawing, but then I got so scared that if I ever touched it ever again that I would completely ruin it and I wouldn't have a video to put out. And that fear drove me to just close my sketchbook and put it very far away where it couldn't hurt me anymore. But don't worry, because I came back. I decided to plan out the colors before I actually went in with marker, and that definitely helped. I was going for something a little bit more, I guess you could say creative, something that I don't usually do, which is on the left here. We are kind of doing this, not monotone, but like a duotoned color scheme. Which, what I mean by that is I didn't do like more realistic colors for this. I mean, obviously, because the horse is purple. I wish that was a real thing though. Wouldn't it be awesome if horses actually came in like rainbow color? Oh, that would be sick. I'm probably just thinking of this because I have the SpongeBob narrator like time cards. But it makes me think about that one episode of SpongeBob where he comes up with the different Krabby Patty colors. Oh man, I can barely remember what that episode is about, but they looked so appetizing, It was like they looked like they were made out of Play-Doh, and something about that made them seem so delicious. As a kid, did you want to eat a Krusty Krab burger so bad? Because I would literally like dream about it. Because I just imagined that it tastes so good. Like it wouldn't even taste like a burger. It would be even better than a burger. It would be like the most just delicious thing that you ever taste in your whole life. Like that one episode where Squidward tries it for the first time and he just can't stop eating it. So I may have gotten a little bit distracted. Yeah, so now we're coloring in the speech bubble thing, the like comic style sound effect. Yeah, you can see it. We're both looking at the same thing here. And I had to do a lot of layering of colors for some reason just to get this to look right. And I kept going in and adding more texture with a colored pencil, then it was just putting too much detail in this one spot, so then I had to go over it, and it was this whole thing. But scribbling all over the background? Now that was fun. Very therapeutic. I recommend it. So that's the left page done, and I actually really like how it turned out. I think the colors are super cool and make it stand out a little bit more. But that just leaves the right page. And did I mention I was having a really hard time with the face? I feel like I want to change the face again. To be honest, I think I might just do that. Because I just cannot decide. I'm gonna be so honest. The face never ends up turning out quite the way I want it to. And I don't mean to like spoil the ending for you by saying this now, but it doesn't really look like Arthur at the end, and I just don't want you to be disappointed, okay? My goal for this right page was to kind of make it look like an old postcard or something. So I'm doing like a mountain background, and then I'll have that text over top too. But I was trying to make the two separate pages like flow together, and that's why I wanted to have the arm coming across from the right side over to the left page, and then doing the big bang from the gun. That is why I had such a hard time in the beginning with the sketching, because I was trying to make the two fit together, and I was being stubborn and I didn't want to completely erase what I already did on the left. And I didn't really ever decide what pose I wanted him to be in on the right, like if he was pointing the gun behind him or if it was supposed to be in front of him, so I didn't know how much to like foreshorten his arm to convey that idea, which means it looks a little funny, but I do go back at the end and try to fix it. But I think that it's good to not hold yourself up to such high standards, specifically in your sketchbook, because it's supposed to be the place where you feel the most comfortable experimenting and just getting some ideas out and having fun. So I try not to beat myself up too much whenever I make little mistakes, like with anatomy or just whatever it may be. And remember that it's mainly for practice, it was fun to do, and at the end of the day, it looks pretty good. Honestly, I have such a hard time just making and finishing art that any time that I fully finish a piece, I mean, I should be like celebrating and patting myself on the back, because it is such a rare thing for me. And that's why I made this channel, to try to get better at that and to have fun with art making again. So I think this is the part where I'm supposed to say to smash that subscribe button, to absolutely decimate it if you want to follow along with my art journey and see where I go from here. If you do, then thank you so much, I really appreciate it. But I think it's time to get back to our regularly scheduled programming. Anyways, I feel like it's time for me to kind of circle back to what this video was originally all about, which is the cowboy hats. And more specifically, why I had such a hard time drawing the cowboy hat in like the previous video when I first began this venture, you could say. And I kind of mentioned this earlier, but the biggest reason that I was struggling with that is because I didn't have a complete understanding of like what a cowboy hat is. And that sounds silly, and I don't mean it metaphorically, I mean like to actually have a full 3D image in your head of one. So before all of my very rigorous cowboy hat training, if you asked me to just kind of visualize or draw a cowboy hat, I would probably give you like almost like a cowboy hat emoji, just like a simple symbol is what you could call it. And I think that this is a huge thing that is both holding people back with their art, and also that if you realize it, you can actively fight it and improve. Okay, are you ready for this? So do you remember as a kid when you wanted to draw something, you would either look it up on YouTube or you would go and find one of those how to draw books, and then you would just copy the steps, right? You would follow the tutorial step by step. That is a really great way to learn when you don't have the skills to just draw something from observation. But what I think happens is that people will establish an easy way of drawing something, but then even as their skills improve over time, they never go back and like revise their methodology for drawing things. So you do get stuck and you kind of get to a point where you can't progress because you're not changing. And I say people, but I'm really just talking about myself because this is what I went through for like the past 5 years. I got super lazy with my art. I didn't feel like trying very hard, and I kind of just drew the same 3/4 ankle head over and over. And it's okay if you just know what you like and want to stick to the same style, but same face syndrome is a real thing, and most of the time it's not something you want to have. But if you do relate to any of this, then don't worry because I have a few simple tips for you. The first one is just to simply become aware of it. So anytime you go to draw something, just ask yourself where you learned to draw it and or how you learned to draw it. Chances are you will probably be having a flashback back to 3rd grade when you first looked up that how to draw a cat video. But I'm just speaking from experience here. My second tip is to try to draw more from observation instead of relying on your memory when you go to draw things, which is why using references while you're drawing is also really helpful. I seriously need to take my own advice there. I would love to talk about this more, but unfortunately I just don't have the time to in this video because here we are. Like, I finished the spread already. Like I said, it doesn't look as much like Arthur Morgan as it could have, but I will say the horses did turn out quite beautiful in my humble opinion. But thank you so much for being here and for watching this video. I am still a very small channel, so I can use all the support that I can get. And I do put a lot of work into both the art and the video making. So feel free to leave a comment and let me know what you think about the drawing, or subscribe to follow along with my art journey. I will see you in the next video. Bye!